Hey, welcome to Bear Down Ballers. I'm your host, AJ Bramlett. Got my man Ryan Wall with me, our super producer again this week. Hey, what a weekend it was, my man. How's it going?
I'm doing great. I just got back this morning from Vegas, and yeah, it was an incredible weekend. Arizona beat Michigan, the number four ranked previously in the country. And I mean, I just wanted to start off and ask about Arizona's new best player, Christian Koloko. He's really been incredible. When we're recording this last night in the championship game, he went off for 22 points, 7 rebounds, 4 blocks. Now has 20 blocks through just 5 games of play, 6 for 6 from the line. I mean, just what have you? He's averaging over 15, 7, and 4 blocks through the first 5 games. What have you seen from him?
I mean, his development has been crazy, man. We talked about it, before the season and the jumps and the strides that we wanted to see him make, and I think he's exceeded that, with his play so far this year. And he's dominating in there. He challenges every shot. 20 blocks is an amazing stat, in itself, but that doesn't even account for the ones that he changes and the ones that he affects, and just his presence on the defensive end. And then the surprising part about it to me is the flow of his offense. I mean, he looks like a totally different player on the offensive side of things. He's taking his time. He's patient in there. Last night against Michigan, he had a couple times where he got it in the lane, took his time, was patient, did a little fake, came back with his hook over his left shoulder. Like, those weren't things that you've seen from him, in the previous years. So it's just the confidence that he's playing with. I think that it affects everybody else on the team too. And they're feeding him, man, and he's finishing. He's doing a hell of a job.
Yeah, and I think to me the biggest part, or there's a few things that for me being aggressive down low when he's getting the ball in the paint, just knowing to finish it, dominate over like smaller guys, and even Hunter Dickinson, a guy who's not very athletic and a guy that Koloko knew he could get the edge over. He knew when to push the pace and finish down low. But the number one thing I wanted to ask you about, to me, is he went from last year being a 62% free throw shooter to now 78%, which is pretty crazy. 16% jump. I mean, to me, that might be the biggest impact for him, because for him to even take the next step, it'll be taking more threes, mid-range shots. But what do you think about that?
I think that's a total result of confidence, man. Because his form has always been good. He hasn't changed anything really with his shooting form, but he's just more confident. And that when you're making shots and you feel empowered on the offensive end, it's easier to make free throws. You're not as worried. You know what I mean? You just feel comfortable out there, and he feels comfortable. And the guys are finding him. You know what I mean? The guys are getting him the ball in positions where he can be successful, and he's finishing like we've always wanted him to finish, man. I mean, last night he had a ton of dunks. He caught that lob in the first half, which was amazing. And then anytime he's around the rim, he's trying to dunk. And even in the second half, he went up, got it, on the baseline and tried to dunk. He didn't make it, but got fouled and went to the free throw line and made two. But he's just being aggressive every single time he gets the ball. And he wants the ball, and they're getting it to him, and he's finishing. It's when the players make that kind of jump and you see them kind of opening up and blossoming, it's just a fun thing to watch, because, I kind of went through the same thing where, it took me a while on offense to get comfortable
Yeah.
and, be confident. Even if Coach Olson was confident in me, I wasn't yet confident in myself. And it took me a while to get to that point. And then once your teammates start feeling that, they start feeding you the ball. I mean, it's just an empowering feeling, and it's good to see from Christian. He'll keep it going.
Yeah, and I think as he's building this game, stacking them up on top of each other, I feel like he will get more confident as he's seeing that, that's just what he is now. Eventually, when they're 15 games in and he hopefully keeps this up, that's just what he is. He's the dominant force in the paint and can affect the game in many ways. But he was recently named Pac-12 Player of the Week. But I wanted to ask you the big question, AJ. Do you think that Koloko maybe could take the jump to the NBA after this season, or do you see him maybe sticking around?
Yeah, too early to tell too. You know what I mean? And we've talked about, other guys, earlier on the pod, but I mean, if he keeps playing at this rate, it's gonna be hard for him to stay, you know what I mean? Because he does everything that, NBA bigs need to do. He's finishing now. He can shoot from outside. You're right. He hasn't really shown that yet, much, but he does have a good touch on his jumper. He can extend that out to three. But in general, I mean, he's what he's doing the best is blocking shots and running the court. And, he's finishing when he gets the ball around the rim, he's dunking it, finishing it. And, he's just got a tremendous upside. He's just really scratching the surface of what he can be. So he's still got a ton of potential. I just love the way that he's playing, and, it's generating wins for our guys.
Yeah, and the next guy I wanted to get to, probably the second most impactful player. He didn't score the second most points, but a guy that we've talked about in the past is Dalen Terry. He went off last night, 13 points on 6 for 7 shooting, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He was just doing it all, and really was just seeing the floor at a whole different level. What did you think of his game?
Well, we love DT. And so, last night his energy was infectious, man. And, when he was locking up and clapping, up at the top of the key when he was, that just, it wears off on the other players. You know what I mean? And so he's always been playing with a high level of energy. The one thing that I liked a lot better last night was he was looking for his shot. And, we talked about that a little bit, us during the game is, when he's aggressive on offense, then there's nobody really that you can, slack off of out on the court. And, he got to the rim last night. He made a nice floater. He got out in transition, and his defense was just, impeccable. So, he's a guy that everyone would want on their team because of the intangibles that he brings every night. And now that he's expanding and, he knocked down that first 3-pointer, really got him off on a good run to start the game. If he can continue to hit that consistently, sky's the limit for him. But he's just a fun player to watch. And, he's like the heart and soul and kind of the battery of the team.
Yeah, and we've talked in the past, that he affects the games on so many different levels. It's not just about scoring for him, it's about the passing, it's about running the game in transition, about defense. But, when he's hitting shots and he's that efficient, he is going to be a hard player to stop and someone hard to guard. But yeah, I know we're only, 5 games into the season, but how far do you think this Arizona team can go? As we saw, they beat Wichita State by 4 points in overtime on Friday night in the first round of the Roman main event tournament, and then obviously a big 18-point win against Michigan. How far do you think this team could go?
I mean, the sky's the limit for them because of the way that they play, and the way that they play defense and the way that they share the ball. I mean, look at them last night. I mean, that was a really efficient game that they played. And, Friday against Wichita State, they had, I think, 22 turnovers or something like that. And then they came back last night. I think they had, 13 or 10 or something
10,
like that.
yeah.
And that's a good sign is that they were able to correct that within one game and really be more cautious with the ball, do the things they needed to do. They executed much better than Michigan did yesterday. And, I just love the spirit that they have. And we've talked about that already is just the energy around the team. The guys on the bench are active. The entire, program is on the upswing right now in a positive direction. So they have enough talent. They have athleticism. They're one of the biggest teams in college basketball. And if we can get the things like we talked about, like DT scoring a little bit more, and the guys just progressing throughout the year. I mean, I haven't seen a team play this year that I don't think that we can match up with to this
Yeah,
point. So
that's very true.
yeah, no, I think sky's the limit for these guys.
Yeah, and they haven't been doing everything great, as you mentioned, the turnover issue. But another thing is 3-point shooting.
Yeah,
The two games in the tournament, Wichita State, they were 19%, and then Michigan, they were only 18%. And to still be able to dominate the game, Wichita State, they pulled it out in overtime. But Michigan dominating the game pretty much throughout the whole second half of the game. It was really impressive because if they can start to get that near the 35 to 37, the league average, shooting percentage from deep, that can really take this team to the next level. And if they can cut down that, 20 turnovers and, they cut it down to 10, but if they can cut that down to single digits, I mean, the sky's the limit. Do you think this team could give, maybe UCLA a problem, in the Pac-12?
absolutely. I mean, the way that they're playing, and just like I said, at every position, we have players, and they're athletic and they're smart basketball players. They're great on both offensive, defense, and we're deep. So we have a good bench as well. So if they keep playing with this type of enthusiasm, which I don't expect that's going to stop at all, absolutely they can challenge for a Pac-10 or Pac-12 championship. I don't see why not. The UCLA is really good. Obviously, we've seen that with their win against Villanova. They're tough, but we're in a position where we're still the underdog, and we're on the scene a little bit. Number 17 ranking today in the AP.
Yep.
But they still have a lot of room for improvement, like you said. I mean, we shooting 18, 19% from three and still beating a top 5 opponent by 18 says a ton about their energy, effort, and attention to detail. I just love the way that they're playing right now, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about, a guy we had on the show a few weeks ago, Benedict Mathurin, really took his game to the next level and kind of showed people who, fans, media made him out to be coming into the year, that go-to scorer. He had 41 points in 2 games. I mean, he was shooting the three with confidence, and he was very aggressive. I think those are the two main things for Mathurin to just be consistent, because we know what he can do. He can do that every night, but it's just being consistent. What'd you make of him?
Yeah, that's the Ben Mathurin we know, right? And it took him a little bit to get started this season. I think maybe a little bit of nerves or whatever, and just kind of transitioning into a new role. But you could see him, just relaxed out there, just playing his game, being aggressive, making plays for Christian. Getting into the lane, throwing lobs. He had a nice drive and like drop off too during the game. So he's making plays for his teammates. He's playing good defense, and we know that his offense is going to come, and how he just looks comfortable out there. He knows where his spots are. He's tough. He's one of the toughest matchups in college basketball because he's so strong. He's big. He can score with floaters. His three-point shot is good. And, he can get to the basket and finish through contact. So, he's just playing well right now. They're all playing well right now. But he's going to be the motor, obviously, from the offensive end. And if he can be consistent throughout the season, these guys have a long way to go up still.
Yeah, any final takeaways, from this overall weekend, just thoughts about the team taking that big step forward, it appeared so, and, anything else?
I think we know who they are now, right? I mean, for the first couple games against maybe lesser competition, we were all excited, and we liked the style of play. We're going to see if it was going to translate against stiffer competition, and it did. I mean, that's a positive sign for the team. And Coach, Tommy Lloyd's got them playing really well right now. The spirit of the team is great, and they just have a lot of room for improvement still. And so, they just proved that they're a top team. We all kind of knew it, but to see it, last night, I mean, it was basically a flawlessly executed game. They had a little bit of a lull in the second half for a few minutes, but besides that, I mean, it was a great game all around. Energy stayed up, the hustle. I mean, guys diving on the floor, and just everything that you need to be a successful team they're doing right now.
Yeah, and yeah, I thought it was great to get those 2 wins over those really good programs, just because they're a younger team, they have some experience, but new coaching staff, and it just really seems in such a short period of time that they've meshed so well together. It seems like when I'm watching them like just interact, it seems like they've been a team for like 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's the chemistry is what stands out. I mean, even the commentators talked about it. I mean, for Tommy, to be able to foster such a, you know, um, kind of a culture around the program that quickly says a lot. And the guys are, enjoying it. They're happy. They're supporting each other. And when you have that, and then you have the talent and the basketball expertise that they have, like, that's a mix for success. And so these guys will just continue to get better. They're going to hold each other accountable, and they're just going to continue to work. And that's what I like. And that's what when we had Jen on, on the first pod, he talked about how hard they work, and that they come in every day, and no matter if they're winning or losing, they get to work every day, and that's what is showing out there on the court. That's just going to continue to build from here now.
Yeah, and coming up, they have a few days off. They play Sacramento State on Saturday on November 27th. But then when December rolls around, Pac-12 play starts. They have Washington at home. Then they go at Oregon State. Then they play Wyoming, but then they go at Illinois to finish up that, mid-November
It'll be
stretch,
tough.
or mid-December stretch. How do you think they'll fare when Pac-12 play starts?
I think they'll be ready, and that Illinois game is going to be tough. That's going to be a good test for them as well. But I mean,
Kofi
if they
Coburn.
Oh yeah, man, the big fella. That'll be a good matchup, man. Can't wait to see
Mm,
that. Koloko against Coburn.
yeah,
that'll be box office. But
yeah,
they're going to continue to play well, man. That's what I'm saying. It's the baseline of how they play, the style of play. And when we had Tommy on, he said team chemistry and hard work is what the program's going to staples of the program moving forward. And they're showing that out on the court, and I don't see that stopping. So guys will continue to play better. It's not going to be perfect every game, but even in the Wichita State game, they found a way to win, and that's what you want. And going into the Pac-12, I think they'll be ready, and just push through that and then see how far we can take it this year. But it's just fun to watch, man. That's all. It's Arizona basketball is back. It's fun to watch, and it's going to be a fun ride this year.
yeah. For sure, it feels like Tommy Lloyd rejuvenated this team and program, and looks to be taking them to that new level that we've wanted for a few years now. But AJ, tell everybody who we have coming up next on the program.
Hey man, we got my brother, my boy, my point guard, one of the best players to ever play at U of A and in the state of Arizona. Mr. Mike Bibby will be joining us at Bear Down Ballers next. Let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at BetRivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with BetRivers yet, now's the time because they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their new Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. With basketball season tipping off, get in on the action by going to betrivers.com today or by downloading the BetRivers iOS app. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call telephone 1-800-GAMBLER. Hey, my man, my guy, my point guard, Mike Bibby. Welcome to Better Down Ballers, my man.
What's going on? Thanks for having me, AJ.
Hey, man, have pleasure to have you, man. I've been wanting to get you on, and just thank you for everything you did for me, man, in my career. And
we did it for each other, man. We did it for each other. Everybody complimented everybody so well. That's what made it so good.
Oh yeah, man, we were family, man. Everyone did their job, played their role to the perfect team. For Coach O put us in those positions, my man.
You're right about that. You're right
All
about
right,
that.
so let me talk to me about a little bit about. Okay, so you committed to U of A when you were a freshman, man, in high school, right? So, how did you?
No, I think I did my sophomore year. I think either sophomore year or junior year. I think.
Okay, I thought it was your freshman year, but yeah, okay.
No, I did my junior year. I can't remember when they started recruiting me. It might have been my sophomore year, maybe, but I think I committed my junior year because I wasn't allowed to sign yet. So I committed early. Yeah. And then that's the only official visit I took. So, it was between UCLA and Arizona. I took an unofficial to UCLA just to see what was going on. And it wasn't the same feeling that I had when I went to U of A. As soon as I went to U of A, me and my mom went on the trip. And as soon as I left there, I said, Mom, this is where I'm coming. So it was already done. She was like, well, go ahead and commit. So I committed, I think, right after that, too, I think. So, it was a great situation. I could always drive home. It was an hour drive home. I made that trip probably every weekend for a long time. Drive home Friday, come back Sunday. I made that for a long time. But I think that was the best situation for me as far as, the team that was there before I came in. And, Coach Olsen being a great, Hall of Fame coach, I think was the best situation for me.
So, yeah, so you talked about a little bit, but that was really what kind of guided your decision to commit that quickly. I mean, because I know everybody in the world was after you at that at that time. So, yeah, what was it about U of A?
I just felt comfortable, by going there, being with you guys and the official visits, being around Coach and Bobby. It was just, I'm the type of kid that had to feel comfortable in being in that situation. I felt comfortable, being at U of A. It's not, I felt okay being at UCLA. It was just, like I said, it was an unofficial visit, so I didn't really get to meet a lot of the guys like I did before. I sat down with the coach, Jim Herrick, but it wasn't the same as being at U of A. The comfortability that I had at U of A was, second to none. I knew that was the place for me to be.
Yeah, Coach O made it, like family, man. We were all brothers. You just felt like you were a part of something special as soon as you got there on campus.
And it was great. Like the fans, just being there and being at the game and seeing the fans and seeing sold out games every game and just how everybody got into the games. I wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah. So talk. What was your first day on campus like in Tucson, and like what do you remember over your 4 years?
I
What were some of your favorite things about playing at U of A?
I don't remember much. I gotta hear stories and bring it up. Like everything in my mind is a blur from, I don't know, long ago to bring it up. But I remember staying in the dorms. That was probably the worst.
Oh, it's terrible.
We stay in the football
Nava
dorms.
hope you now. Nava hope you now, bro.
They,
Terrible.
they still have the football dorms.
It's still there. Yep. Because I remember we went to the game when we were in town last time for Coach O's celebration of life, and it was still there. We walked right by it. It's like, man, I can't believe they still got
have
people
an
living there.
elevator yet? Do they have an elevator?
Probably not. And they probably don't have, they had those 4-foot beds in there for me sleeping in there with those desks and all that, man. It's terrible.
Yeah, I know. Eugene was there too. Eugene's my roommate, so he had to put his floor on the mat. He had to put his mattress on the floor, and he was sitting in the middle of the bed on the floor. So that just being around the guys that just going to practice, being a part of a high major school and being like a hometown hero, kind of staying home. And I remember going to playing at, I can't remember if you came to the game. I know Miles went to the game when we played South Point.
Yeah, I was at that game. Yeah.
And I mean, just to see that, I knew it was going to be big for me coming to the school in that game. They sold the game out like at noon, and it was hard to get in, and tickets were things. When you go there, you guys were there to support me, and that, like I said, that's one of the major things that helped me make my decision too. And it's great for me to feel comfortable is you guys being there and having my back, being in that situation, even though this high school that we're playing was in Tucson.
Yeah, man. I mean, we had to come support you, man. I had to come for sure because I know you were going to give me 4 or 5 assists per game, coming up the next year. Easy best.
I still got that highlight on my phone of when we played in Maui. I still got the ESPN highlights where they show two passes that I had to you on there. One up and under, and then I think it was I came baseline and dumped it to you real quick.
Against Kentucky. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He beat the crap out of them, man.
Felt good, didn't it? Felt good.
Fun. It was fun. You look back at it now, and 25 years there. I think something like the first game I think we had was 25 years today. I think my mom sent me something that was in the newspaper. I think that the same thing that happened with us. Hopefully, it happens with them this year as far as winning. Big games starting out the way we did when we played.
Yeah, well, Coach O always had us playing the toughest schedule that we could play, no matter if we won or lost. He wasn't ever scared of playing against top competition because he knew that, that's going to pay off for us when we got to tournament time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and sophomore year, remember we played everybody. We played Kansas. We played our sophomore year early. We played Kansas and Chicago.
North Carolina, the first game. That was the first game.
That was the first. Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it was a great situation, man. Playing against those schools and just being able to put our names on the map.
Yeah, man, because you grow up and you want to be in those games, and then when you're there, man, if you balled. I mean, the first game you had like 22 against North Carolina. I think against Aaron.
Yeah, the thing is, I look back on it, there was never any 4 shots. You looked at a lot of kids nowadays, 4 shots. Like you look back at the game, I don't remember forcing any shots. I mean, it was just, our team was played so well off each other. We were missing Miles too at the same time. Yeah. We came out and just played well together. Mike D had a monster game too, I think.
Yeah, he had 30, I think.
Yeah, so we came out and there was no selfish people on the team. We did what it took to win.
Yeah, man. Well, like Coach O, pretty much gave you the keys. As soon as you stepped on campus, say, hey, Mike, go run with this, lead these guys, and talk about some of the things, that Coach O taught you and like some of the stuff that you carry on today and, just what it was like playing for Coach, man, because it was just so special.
But when I first got there, I was kind of, like shell-shocked as far as, everybody was there besides, maybe me, Eugene, Quinn, Josh, some of the guys didn't play as much as I did, but coming in, the team was already established. So I came in trying not to really step on no toes or ruffle no feathers and just try to fit in. Right. And I remember, during the tournament, I mean, I don't know if it was after the first game or the second game. And I remember him telling me, like, Mike, I need you to be aggressive, because maybe I was being passive or whatever. And I think that's what got me out of my shell to just play basketball. You know, I mean, he always let us do what we wanted to do and play to our strengths. I think that's what made us good too. But just for him to hear him say that in front of everybody, I felt like, okay, like that was my opening thing to, you know what, just play basketball. Don't worry about, messing up. You just go out there and play. And I mean, that opened the door for me to, feel like it's time to rise up above everything else.
Yeah, you did that a lot, bro. So you did that a lot.
And I learned a lot from his coaching style as far as because I coached high school for 7 years, and just to let these kids play to their strengths. Don't hold nothing back. I've seen a lot of situations of some of the kids that I've coached going on to the next level of, don't shoot that. You're not allowed to shoot that. Or you're not allowed to dribble. Or you can't do this. You can't do that. And you put restrictions on kids, you lose the kid, and that kid's confidence is going to go down. So it's might as well not even play him. And, I always told my kid, I let them play whatever they want, but our defense had to be on point.
Yeah.
And, help defense. I learned that from Coach O. Help defense and be ready to help your teammate. And, I picked up a lot of coaching stuff from him, as far as that. And, see kids working out, even if the kid couldn't shoot. I know he couldn't shoot well, but I seen him working on it. I have no problem with you shooting that shot. Now, if you come out and shoot that shot and you're not working on it, and you're not hitting nothing, you can't shoot. I'm gonna say you can't shoot that shot. But other than that, there's a lot of stuff that I wouldn't say that you can't do. Just go out there, play basketball, play with confidence, and once you take a kid's confidence, the kid's screwed. And Coach Olsen never did that with any of us, and I think that's why we excelled so much.
Yeah, that's the truth, man. And one of the things that I know that I took from you, and JT and I were talking about that we took from you is, and you talked about a little bit just there, is putting in that extra work, man, and like showing up early, getting extra shots up before practice and after practice, and really separating yourself from the competition by putting in that extra work every day. And then once you do that for a consistent amount of time, how much farther ahead you are than other guys. And where did that work ethic come from for you? With that, when did that start for you? And you're still doing it today. I'm sure you're still making like 300, 500 shots a day still now, probably, man.
I had to stop the big three because I was working like I was still a professional. So I had to stop. I was like, I'm too old for this. I can't do that. So I had to stop. That's why I stopped playing that.
Okay.
I always want to be the best at what I do. So I always work. I was working out with my son in there. I was making 300 shots in there. Me and made 750 shots between both of us. So I was out there working, but it really didn't start for me as far as working on my shot and stuff like that till I got to U of A. Growing up, I was bigger than everybody else. I, had a little bit more ability than a lot of the kids. And I always told my mom, like, Mom, I don't want to do extra, but she always took me. But I always played basketball. I was always playing, whether it was at a park, whether it was an open gym, or whether it was a 8-foot hoop. I was always playing basketball. And there was never a time where, you played, you eventually played video games here and there, but it wasn't like kids today, there and play 10 hours. But, I was always outside. We found games. And I think that's the different stuff than kids have today is they don't play basketball. They work a lot of workout and no playing. But my work ethic didn't start. I didn't really start getting in the gym and shoot. I was a scorer in high school. I wasn't really a shooter like how I became until I got to U of A, and Josh helped me with my shot. At first it was me and Josh in the gym, Josh shooting, I don't know how many shots we shot, but for Josh used to rebound for me, and Josh always, snap your wrist. You got to, so he'd always tell me, and, I just shot. I never really knew the logistics of, snap your wrist and get your shot up and stuff like that. So a lot of that thanks goes to him by having me in the gym. He got my ass in the gym from the first day I was there. I remember I was in the gym, and he always told me, like, sometimes you couldn't get into the arena, or you couldn't get into the rec center, and we'd go by the elementary school by Star Pass and, shoot 50 makes, with no net, whatever, just get, at least you did something. So I always tell the kids, if you feel like you want to get a day off, just maybe shoot 50 shots, 50 makes, 100 makes. At least you just didn't take the whole day off. Right. And that has stuck with me, and I kind of trickled down to the kids that I coached. And, the kids that I always pass through, if you're tired, it's not going to hurt you to make 50 shots. That's not going to put a lot of pressure on your body. So that's when it all started for me.
And you've talked about it a little bit, but like your basketball IQ, man, crazy. You know what I mean? That's the one thing, if anybody ever asked me, I say you're the best basketball player I ever played with. Like, you knew exactly what was going on the court all the time. You knew if, like, I hadn't touched the ball in a while, or I had a shot, you give me a shot. If Mike D didn't have it, you know what I mean? He had to get him a quick layup, get him going and stuff. Like, you've always kind of, I'm sure you've always kind of had that, but how did you develop that? Is there a way to develop that? Because that's why I think when we're talking about kids like not playing enough, I think that's a symptom of it, is like the basketball IQ. And some of these kids can do all these drills great. They have these skill sets, but they don't know how to play basketball. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what's missing in youth basketball right now.
And a lot of people aren't teaching kids basketball. I've been at, the top high school games, the last couple of weekends. And, my daughter's boyfriend plays on one of the teams. So I'm out there trying to help, every kid on the team as much as I can, because nobody's teaching these kids no more. They're so athletic and so gifted that they feel they could just roll the ball there. But these kids need to learn to get to that next level. And what you say before that, AJ? I forgot what you said before that. Oh, it's about trying to get guys the ball. I've always been like that, to where guys will stop playing for you. The guys will stop playing. You got to get the big man. The big man's running up and down. He cleans up stuff behind you. He hasn't touched the ball in a while. Let's get a post up for him. Let him keep. That's when the guys will keep fighting for you. You get these guys shots, they'll fight for you. I know my time's gonna come, because just how we played off each other, but I wanted to make sure you guys were taken care of first before myself.
Yeah, you were a master at that, man. That's something that, like, it's a special talent, special trait. You were just incredible at it, man. I was lucky to play with a guy like you.
I appreciate it. Thank you. But it's just all you just got to get those guys. Like, if the guy sends 20 screens for you, never give him the ball, those screens are going to get weaker and weaker as the game goes on, especially if he's not touching it. You know what I mean? So, you just got to take care of everybody. That's what point guard's supposed to do, get everybody involved.
Yeah, I love it, man. So, since you were young, man, you've always, you had the spotlight on you since you were a young player, going to Arizona, playing high school ball in Arizona. And, I remember in the BC, we played the BCI in Phoenix. I think it was my junior year, maybe. And I think you were playing, after us. And the buzz in the gym was crazy, and, sold out. Like, how were you able to handle that as a young player and, stay focused on, what you needed to do and not really get caught up in all that, that hype?
My mom kept me
I knew the answer.
Kept me on the right path. Because, I don't know if what stuff was going to my head a little bit or what, but I started, talking trash to the refs, talking trash to the crowd, whoever. And I remember my mom just said, shut up and play. So ever since then, I was ever since my sophomore year, junior year, I stopped talking in general. People would talk trash to me, and I would never say nothing back. Eddie House, was married to my sister for a while, and he'd always say, he used to talk so much trash, and he always said, and you're the only person that never said nothing back. And I said, because there's nothing to say nothing back. We kicking the crap out of y'all, but they don't say nothing back.
We never lost to them, man. We never lost to them.
No, we haven't. But he'd always talk about my mom. Oh, your mom's so pretty. Your mom's so pretty. Your mom's beautiful. Your sister's beautiful. I'm with your sister. This and that. And I wouldn't even look at him. And I think that kind of threw them out, because you remember their whole team used to talk.
Oh yeah, the whole team. Yeah, we had issues with them.
Everybody used to talk, and I just think that since then, the only time I really ever talked trash to a team was when we were in Stanford, and I just had Michael. And so, your dad hates you. So, it was going through everything bad. They held up diapers with, because I had Michael. And
right.
I was on fire that game, and I just
killing. I think you had like 26 assists, no turnovers.
so I remember that game, and that was probably the only game that I felt like I had to say something back, just how much they were on me. But other than that, ever since my junior year, I stopped talking. My mom told me to shut up, just play basketball. And the thing with her is, it was always after the game is what I didn't do well, instead of tooting my horn for me. And, oh, you played so great. It was always, this is what you did wrong. This is what you need to do better. And I think that's what made me better too.
Yeah, I mean, she's held everybody accountable.
Yeah.
So good lady, man. Good lady.
It is. She's still doing the same stuff. It doesn't miss a game. She goes to all her grandkids' games and stuff like that. So she's still the same. She's still pushing.
That's good, man. She's put a lot of good people out there, so she'll keep on doing it, man.
Yeah.
Like, so let's talk about the 97 championship run, man, and like that season, and like, what do you remember about it most? And what, talk to me about a little bit of your memories and our run, man, and what we did.
It was tough. I remember it was tough during the Pac-10 because I think we were 500.
Yeah.
And so, but there was a lot of good teams. You had UCLA, USC, Oregon, Cal. There was a lot, I think 5 or 6 teams made it to the tournament. And I remember us sitting there hoping we got in. You remember? Because we didn't know if we were going to get in or not.
Yep.
And when we got the 4th seed, we're like, oh, we'll take that. You know what I mean? Yeah. 4th seed. So we were good with the 4th seed. And I remember the first 2 games were a struggle. College of Charleston and
South Alabama.
Yep, South Alabama. And I remember those 2 games were a struggle for us. And I'm glad it went that way because we came in, I think, those games kind of cocky against those 2 teams. But I think that kind of got us mentally ready for what we were about to face in the next 4 games. And I think that got us going, against Kansas and Providence and North Carolina and then Kentucky. I think it just prepared us for that. And I think we were ready for that. It was our calling. It was our time. We got hot at the right time, and it would be 3 number ones. No one could ever say they did that.
Nah, we knew we were going to win too, man. That's the crazy thing is, I tell people that, but there was we knew that we were going to win those games. We knew we were going to beat Kansas. We knew we were going to beat everybody. We just had that energy was crazy on our team during that time. We were so empowered, and for what reason? I don't know. You know what I mean? Because we lost the last 2 games of the Pac-10, but we still had that crazy confidence that we could do anything. I don't know where that came from. You know what I mean? But it was just amazing.
I think going in and being the underdog because we really had nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Going in, except the first 2 games, every other game after that, we were supposed to lose.
True.
You know what I mean? And so, I think we go in, we didn't, we just went out there and played, and we overtook and played better than all 4 of those teams actually. And going out there being the underdog, I think was good for us.
Yeah,
it was a lot for next year when we weren't the underdog going into that game.
Man, so, that game still bothers me, man. The Utah game was terrible.
But it was tough. I remember they we couldn't hit no shots. I remember me and Miles it was rough. It was kind of rough for everybody. They kind of beat us pretty bad too.
Yeah, whooped us. Yeah, they did.
How much they beat by?
I don't think you know what? Because I hadn't watched that game in years. I refused to watch it, and then I watched it a couple of years ago, and I don't think we ended up losing by as many as I thought we did. But they put it on us though. It wasn't close. And it was just crazy. I remember us on the plane after that game, and we were flying back, and that's when you were like, man, I'm out. I'm going to the draft. I was like, damn, there goes 10 points off my average right there.
I had to, AJ. It was time for me to go. I felt there was nothing else to accomplish team-wise and personally for me. So I felt it was time for me to take that next step for me and my family-wise. So I know a lot of people wanted me to go after my freshman year. I wasn't ready. 18-year-old kid. I knew I wasn't ready, so that's why I stayed another year and figured we could win it again. I think the Australian trip messed us up a little bit.
So let's talk about that. I know that's your favorite overseas trip of all time that you've ever taken.
Oh, God.
Could you talk to everybody about what you ate on that trip and your favorite memory of being in Australia after the championship?
So how many days were we there for? 28 days. Was it 28 days?
Seems like it, man. I don't know how long we were there.
21 days, 24 days, 28 days, whatever it was. McDonald's every meal.
French fries only, too. Did you?
I had nuggets. I don't even know if I ate a cheeseburger. I think I had nuggets for 25 days straight. We went to Ayers Rock. I remember going to Ayers Rock. We landed in the middle of it was like desert. We landed in the desert. And I remember getting off the plane and saying, "Excuse me, man, where is the closest McDonald's?" And she said, "About 300 miles that way." So I was like, "Damn, so I didn't eat for 24 hours. I didn't eat the whole time we were there. And I was in the room hallucinating and everything out there. So that was a rough trip. Remember, no one got a haircut. Everybody's hair,
it was terrible.
Hair was rough. I mean, it was, I think it was a good bonding thing. We try to get out of it the first, 3 days into it?
Yeah,
3 or 4
we had
days.
remember we all met in our rooms and were like, we're going home. We're not taking no for an answer. I don't give a damn. We're going home. And then we waited. Remember, Miles was the representative for us, remember? And we walked in. All of us walked in, chests all puffed out.
I remember that.
First thing Coach O said was, first thing is we're not going home. And nobody said anything.
That was
we
that was
stayed
a big,
for 21 more days.
and Mike D went home. Mike D says grandma was sick. And then got home, said she wasn't as sick as I thought she was. And he got to be home for the rest of the time.
Mike D is smart, man. He's smarter than all of us, man.
I think it was a year or two late for that. I mean, I think that would have helped us before, but it was a good bonding experience, I think, for us. We got to, be around each other more, but that's a trip I did not enjoy.
I think we were just tired too, man, after the whole championship and everything. It was a long year.
Yeah, sure. It was for sure.
So let me, I'm going to ask you a couple more things. I'll let you get up out of here, man. But you got drafted, obviously 98 draft number 2. Went to Vancouver, had a great, rookie season, played really well there. Got to play with Mike D, for a little bit. What was it like playing with Mike D? Getting to match, play together after, doing your thing in college and getting to play professionally together too?
It was good because that's when I think me and Mike D became closer than we've ever been. Me and Mike D, Mike D still disappears for years on right.
I haven't seen him, man. I haven't seen him in a few years. I know he's alive. Kelly said he's alive and doing well. So, I can't wait to see him the next time.
Emails here and there, but he came like, you talk to all your teammates and stuff at U of A or whatever, but like we weren't as close. Like I see Mike do whatever, but once he got traded, we became we were a lot closer. Like we hung out. So we went to eat. We make sure our rooms are by each other so we could open the middle door and just, I remember going in his room. I said, he just sitting in the chair. I said, Mike, do you don't watch TV? He's like, nope. I said, damn. But it was just good. Like we'd always go eat. We'd always go hang out, do whatever. But that made us close. And like when I was my last year in New York, he came out and stayed with me for, most of the season. So he was there staying with me in New York. And when I came back home, he stayed here for a little bit with me here, like 2 or 3 months. And I remember one day he was like, I'm gonna go buy a truck. But he already had a truck outside. So I'm thinking, okay. So all of a sudden he got 2 trucks out there now. So, I don't hear nothing from him. We go to the gym. We're going to the gym all the time, working out, lifting, shooting and stuff, playing. And then one day he's like, I think I'm going to leave in the next day or so, and then I'll be back. And I came out, both cars were gone. I don't know how he got both cars gone. But he was gone, and it's been like I probably emailed him probably once or twice over the last 2 years and just you hear back from him when you can.
Yeah.
At this point, you just, whenever I hear from him, you're going to hear from him, and just wait.
Yeah, man. I love Mike D, man. So I can't wait till the next time we all get together, man. We need to get us all together, man, and reminisce and have a good time, man.
He always tries to find a way out. We got to get him there.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get him, man. That's my mission now.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so you did. Vancouver was great. You got traded to the Kings. I just wanted to ask you about. You led those teams. I mean, probably the best teams in Kings history. And everybody remembers, the Game 5 game winner against, Kobe and Shaq in that series in the Western Conference Finals. You and Kobe, had a long, kind of relationship, kind of timeline together, right? You were in the '96 McDonald's game together, I believe. And what was your relationship like with him, competing against him, and what did that mean to you? You know what I mean?
Guys played with each other in Philly too, as well. So that's where we, met each other. We were both babies, obviously, but once we got to McDonald game, we hung out a lot and we did all stuff. But it was very respectful towards him. Like he's like the second. He's like Michael Jordan to me. Like the way he played, everything he did. I mean, he mimicked his game after him, obviously, but. A lot of people mimic their game after Michael Jordan, but it doesn't turn out the way it did him. You know what I mean? Just to see him be that successful is just, mind blowing to me. I'm so happy that it was him and happy what he could do. And to me, he's probably right after Michael Jordan, and I think number 2 best player to ever play the game that I've seen. And I mean, it was phenomenal just to have those games against him and be against a superstar like that, a top 2 player of all time in his prime, to be able to play and go out there and have rivalries against them. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was fun to watch, man. I was hyped when you hit that shot too, and I was a Laker fan, but I was like, oh my God, man. Just big time, man.
That team was just like the U of A team. There was no, everybody wanted to win. There was no, well, it's my night tonight, I got to do this. Even everybody knew Webb was the alpha dog, and everybody, was, the soldiers around him, but it didn't matter. That's what kind of made me feel like, okay, this is basketball again. Being with that winning, Vlade Divac is one of the best teammates I've ever had, as far as he showed me it doesn't matter. You play so many games, it doesn't matter how many points you score. He was always the same guy no matter what, whether he scored 30 points or he scored 2 points. After the game, during the game, he was always the same guy. And after I got traded to Atlanta, I kind of took the Vlade Divac role to Atlanta, as far as let's start doing more things together. Let's start going to lunch. Let's start going to dinner with all the guys and, play games like Steph on the Plane and do stuff together. And I think that's what got. I don't want to say I'm the reason why we started winning in Atlanta, but I think it helped as far as being a leader in that aspect of bringing everybody together.
Yeah, building that culture, winning culture. Yeah.
A lot of those guys were young. Josh Smith, Marvin Williams, Al Horford was a rookie. I said Josh Smith, Al Horford, Josh Childress. I mean, go all the way down the line. Joe Johnson was there too. He wasn't as young as other guys, but I mean, like I said, it brought the culture to them and showed what it is to be winners.
So talking about culture, man, we were texting a little bit last night during the U of A Michigan game, and just wanted to get your thoughts on, the team, what you think of them this year, what you think their ceiling is, some of the guys you like on the team, and kind of get your thoughts on that.
I didn't get to watch much of it last night. I saw some of the highlights, but Webb called me before and was like, we're going to kick your ass tonight. So I there and saw the score. I was like, oh, it was a blowout. I texted him back. I didn't hear from him again, but I coached Dalen Terry for like a month at Hillcrest. I think he's doing what he needs to do. I only had him for a month. So
right.
We're at the prep school, but I wish I could have had him more. He's a hard worker. He listens. He wants to learn, and you don't get a lot of that from kids nowadays. And from just a little time that we were there, I still keep in contact with him. I saw him when we went down there for Coach O's memorial.
Yeah.
And, I want to see him be successful. I think he deserves it. He works hard, and I just want to see him be successful.
He's one of my favorite players on the team, man. If not, my favorite. His energy that he brings on both sides, it's just an infectious, kind of attitude and spirit that he plays the game with. Yeah. He plays hard, man. He plays hard. He's a good kid. You're right.
He does. Like I said, if I wish I could have had him for longer and really kind of tone him for that next level, I think he has a chance to be real, real good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just fun to watch. I think they're playing a style of basketball that's, kind of similar to how we played, more free flowing, throwing lobs, playing fast, not worried about, mistakes so much, and just being able to play free out there and empowering the guys. You can kind of see that on the court this year, which is good to see.
It makes a lot of difference when you do that. You get these guys the confidence, they'll fight for you too. And you can't hound and pick on the guys while they're playing, or that's a bad shot, get out the game. I mean, kids aren't going to fight for you how you would if you soothe them and, hey, don't worry about that, make the next one. And I mean, I think that makes a lot of difference. And I'm glad. I hope that that's what the coach is doing with those kids. They'll be a lot successful that they could be.
Yeah, I think you can see it on the court right now, and I think the spirit. How our teams were. The bench was involved. Everybody was. Everyone was supporting each other, and that's what they're doing so far this season. So it's good to see this the way that our program should be.
Good.
Well, my man, I appreciate you jumping on, man. Hopefully, we can have you on again. I'm gonna be in Phoenix soon, man. We're gonna get out there on the golf course. If you shoot a 91, I might shoot a 105. But you know what I mean.
Let me know so I can get us a good place to go when you're gonna be out here.
Sounds good, man. Tell the family hello. Tell your mom hello, and appreciate you coming on Bear Down Ballers, my man.
Thanks for having me, AJ. I'll talk to you later, man.
All right, yeah, appreciate you, man.
Sure.
All right.